December 19th, pretty snowy night. If anybody remembers, December 19th, we had about a foot of snow. I invited some people over. There were two girls and a guy. We were sitting here and we were talking, and one of the women said, can I invite a friend over? They were thinking the man wants to buy a painting for his daughter. When I first met him, he was fine. It was great. Other than squeezing my hand, trying to break it, I mean, other than that, things were fine. And I thought things were going well. I lit the candles up to have that Zen feeling and to get everybody relaxed. I turned off the lights, and the light from the candles were, just enough where everybody was comfortable. And we talked about, what was bothering everyone and what was bothering me. Nothing was bothering me other than just having the fact that I had company. I was overjoyed by the people that were here. I thought they were my friends. So, and as the evening wore on, it got kind of strange. I have a bad back, and I can't sit too long. I had to get up and move because I got a lower back problem. And every time when I was sitting next to this fella, I kept getting up, because I had trouble moving, and he would grab my arm and he brought me down. He sat me down literally with force 3 times. And I said, look, I have to go to the men's room. Just let me go up and go to the men's room, and I'll be right back. Then he goes, sure, go ahead. And as I was leaving the room, he mentioned something about him having a gun. And in my mind, I said, whoa, problems. He kept mentioning he was leaving in a half hour, and I kept saying to him, I says, hey, half hour passed. Didn't you say you had somewhere to go in a half hour? And he sort of like got aggravated, and that's when he came out, and he kept mentioning him having a gun. And I started getting more uneasy, so I made an excuse to go to the bathroom, in which I did. And from there on, that's when the trouble started. As soon as I came out of the men's room, that's when the shooting started. All I knew, he was just a friend of a friend that was here. And that's all I knew about him. And he wanted to get a painting for his daughter. As a matter of fact, I was going to give him a painting for his daughter. And more or less, that's what I do. I give a lot of my paintings away. When I got up, I went to the bathroom, and I came out, and I peeked behind the curtain that separated the rooms, and I noticed he had a gun in his hand, and he was like this. He was pointing the gun, and it went off. And I said, whoa! I backed up, I got my jacket on, and I'm ready to get out of here as quick as possible. The other 3 people were more or less on their own, but they knew him more than I knew him. And I don't think he was going to fire at them. I think he went postal on me. He wanted to take somebody with him. I really don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, I can't say. And so when I peered my head past the curtain to see what was going on in here, I noticed that he took everything off the table and he just threw it all over the floor, wax and everything. And so I came in and I picked up everything, and and like I said, when I peered my head through the curtain again, he had a gun in his hand and he fired once. I got my jacket on real quickly, and I sort of like, if I'm going to be a moving target, I'm gonna zigzag my way out of here. So what I did is I went first at the curtain, backed up, and then ran, and he fired the second shot. The third shot he fired was like this, and I have a doorway that goes out to the outside, but there's a desk and a computer at that locale. And if you look through that locale, you could see an image of anyone in there because of the lights being on. And when he fired the third shot, the girl that brought him here pushed his arm away and he fired into the wall. So then I went across the street and I dialed 911 and the police were here in a matter of minutes. The first 3 shots were fired at me. The police arrived within minutes. They surrounded the building and they said, "Is there any other exit out?" And I said, "Yes, there's a back exit, but you know, you really got to know where the lights are because I have it rigged where only I know how to turn the lights on in the basement, so there was no way for him to get out that way." And they were firing tear gas pellets, those with the little balls that have the powder in there. All you gotta do is blow it in the air and it's all over the room, and it irritates your eyes, your stomach, and it makes you upset. So what happened was, when the police rushed in like a SWAT team, they got to the desk and the 4th shot was fired. And that was the shot that did him in. He shot himself in the head. The police, I asked the police, did he shoot himself? And the police gave me no indication of whether he was alive or dead. But the people around me said, yeah, he offed himself. And, you know, I was very upset about that. You know, I just met this guy and I knew he had problems. And I'm sorry for his parents and his little daughter. And if there was any way I could make it up, you know, I definitely would. All right, this was the first shot he fired at me. The second shot, what happened was it ricocheted off the ceiling, but it went through the lighting right here. That's how I knew. If you notice that light right there, it's hanging off. That's how I knew that was the second shot because the lights went out at this point in this juncture, and it ricocheted off the ceiling into the wall, and that was the second shot. And the one other shot where the woman pushed his arm away was this shot right here. And when I stuck my head out, when I went like this, that's when the first shot was fired, okay? I got my jacket on, and what I did is I got my jacket on and I ran across, and as I ran across, he fired the second shot. That was a shot that hit the glass and ricocheted off the ceiling into the wall. And as I ran out here, the other shot was fired at me from here, but this is when the woman pushed his arm away and it hit the wall. And I went across the street. I left the door open, and I went across the street where the tattoo parlor was, and that's where I dialed 911. And like I said, the police were here in a matter of seconds. And I came over to him, I told him what room he was in. You're firing into the wrong room with those pellets. The other room, that's where he's at. And like I said, when the police got to the counter over there, that's when he shot himself. Everybody heard the 4th shot. When the police got to this point, that's when we all heard the 4th shot. And like I said, when I came into this room here, I found the cot. It was all bloody, and the floor there was blood all over the floor. And I picked up these shells, which I thought the police should have picked them up. But you know, all they did was just take the body away, and they labeled it a suicide instead of attempted murder-suicide. But I don't know why they call it suicide when my life was, I'm the one who was being shot at. So that's my story, and I'm sorry, whoever's involved. The little girl, his daughter, honey, that's the truth. I'm sorry it happened.